Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we are going to be playing with the brand new Conspiracy Palette by Jeffree Star Cosmetics and Shane Dawson. I know you're probably sick and tired of hearing of the same palette over and over again on the internet, and I'm probably the very last person to be reviewing it or playing with it in this video, but alas, it's come here. It took me a while to edit, but it's finally here, and I really wanted to show you the look that I was able, or the first look that I was able to create with it. I was gonna do a whole run through the entire buying process. Yes, it was a hassle. I think that especially after the finale release, I know we pretty much all know how much of a stressful situation it was. It was super stressful to get it. I don't know how, but I got it, and I gave in. I was one of those people who just gave in to the hype. I loved the series. I love Shane Dawson. I've been a fan for so long, and I just think he's the most endearing, sweetest, charming person ever. I got the palette. This is the first look that I was able to come up with. I can't wait to keep playing with it and to create so many more looks with this palette. But alas, in this video, I'm going to show you the very first look that I did, walk you through the entire process and so on. But before we get started, and as always, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel before you leave. And without further ado, if you want to see how I created this look using the Conspiracy palette, then please stay on and keep on watching. Alright guys, so the very first thing that I did want to say before is, once again, the whole buying process of this palette. Yes, it was super stressful. What you saw in the finale, websites crashing. I was in 3 different websites. I was in the Jeffree Star Cosmetics website, Morphe and Beautylish. All 3 were crashed at 10 a.m. But alas, I was able to get it through Beautylish. And I always recommend, I'm always going to say this, do not trust the Jeffree Star Cosmetics website with any launch. It's just gonna crash. Same thing happened to me with the Jawbreaker palette. I just ran as far away as I could from the Jeffree Star Cosmetics website. I went to Beautylish. It was a smooth process. It was done, good to go, and I got my palette super fast. So I will say, don't trust the Jeffree Star Cosmetics website, because it honestly sucks for these kinds of releases. It crashes super fast, it's super slow, and almost always Jeffree will release that palette or will do those launches in different websites like Morphe or Beautylish or Beauty Bay. I would honestly just go with Beautylish or Morphe instead of the Jeffree Star Cosmetics website, but that's just my point of view. But anywho, this is the packaging of the palette. It came nicely wrapped with this wrapping paper that's printed in all of Jeffree Star's tattoos, which I think it's pretty neat. And then once you remove the paper, you get some bubble wrap for protection. It's nice and protected. My palette wasn't broken. So far, no hairs. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that that's not the situation that I encounter with this palette, because that would be pretty disappointing. So far, so good with that. No foreign substances. So when you unwrap it and take off all of that bubble wrap, this is the packaging that it comes in. It's a nice sturdy box. It's nice cardboard, and I've seen people reuse this little cardboard packaging to kind of like store brushes or for extra storage for their makeup, which I think it's a pretty unique idea. I think I might do that, or honestly, I've just been keeping or storing the palette in there because I don't want it to get super dirty. But it's a nice packaging. It's the Conspiracy, sort of a mystery print with the embossed gold letters that say Conspiracy at the top. And then when you slide it open, you get the beautiful palette. It's this nice black trunk with like a raised it just meets in the middle into Shane's logo, which I thought it was a beautiful design. I think they did such a great job. It's a nice palette. It's sturdy, it's high quality. This thing is heavy. It's a nice chunky palette, and it's super beautiful to like display. I loved the packaging so much. And then when you opened the palette, these are the shades that are in there. I love the names in this palette, and I love the little imprints in the shades. I almost didn't want to use the palette to be honest. I wanted to keep it perfectly nice intact in the box just to collect it, but I don't know, I needed to use it and swatch it. And I will say that the imprints will rub off. Some of the shades that I used in this video did lose a little bit of those imprints, and it was just a couple of brush swipes and just finger swatches, so just keep in mind that these prints will rub off easily. But they're super detailed, especially Shane's logo on there. That's super detailed. So it does suck to have to like go on top of those and wear them out. All right, so now we're gonna go through the shades in the palette, starting with the top left corner. Of course, there was gonna be a shade called Ranch. Come on. Next to that, we have My Pills, Tanacon, Diet Root Beer, Just a Theory, Spiraling, Conspiracy, Pigment, which I thought was genius, Food Videos, Trisha, Cheese Dust, Flaming Hot, What's the Tea, Diet Cola, Not a Fact, Sleep Paralysis, Illuminati, and My Rights Here. So those are all of the shade names. So now we're gonna start with the look today, and we're gonna start priming our skin using the, let's say it together, the Touch and Soul No Poreblem Primer. Next, we're gonna go into foundation using the L'Oreal Infallible 24-Hour Fresh Wear Foundation mixed in with a little bit of the Estee Lauder Double Wear Foundation. Next, we're gonna spritz our face using a little bit of the iconic London Prep Set Glow Setting Mist, just for a little bit extra dewiness to our skin. Once all of that is nice and blended in, I'm gonna go in with some concealer using my Tarte Shape Tape. Next, I'm gonna go in with some bronzer, and I am using the NYX Cosmetics Highlight and Contour Pro palette just to warm up the skin and contour the hollows of my cheeks. And then I'm gonna go in with that same palette and contour the nose. Buff out those edges, and then after that we're gonna bake the face using some Coty Airspun. And then just cut the sides of the cheeks underneath that bronzer. And while that is baking, we're gonna move on to the brows. And then we're gonna get started with our eyeshadow look, and the very first shade that I'm using is the shade My Pills, and I'm just setting that all over the lid as a base color for the rest of our eye look. Next, I'm taking a super fluffy brush and I am using the shade Tanacon all over the crease. That's a beautiful, beautiful color. I will say that to start any look, I feel like Tanacon, it's a great shade. So I'm just fluffing that out all over the crease. And then a little bit above the crease, I went in with the shade Pigment. It's a beautiful, like, soft rose color. I really liked it. And then with a more precise brush, I went in super deep on that outer V, and I am using the shade Not a Fact. And I'm just packing on that color on that outer V and blending it in with that previous pink with Pigment. And just buffing that out. Also taking it, kind of like dragging it into that inner corner. That way when we cut the crease, there's a nice contrast between the lid color and the crease. Make sure that those edges are nice and buffed out. And once those colors are nice and buffed out and smoked out, we're gonna go in a little bit deeper on that outer V, and we're gonna go straight with that matte black shade, My Rights here, and using a pencil brush, taking the slightest bit on that outer V. That black is super pigmented, so a little bit goes a long way. So I'm using that pencil brush to kind of like place the color on the outer V, and then using a fluffier brush just to do circular motions and blend all of those colors on that outer V together. And then I even took a little bit more of that shade Not Effect and placing it a little bit closer to the lid, just kind of like dragging that black with that Not Effect shade closer to the lid, diffusing it into the lid. And now we're gonna cut the crease, of course, using my cut crease stamp and the Tarte Shape Tape. And with a small concealer brush, really taking your time and just cutting that crease, making sure your edges are nice and clean. Once that is done, I'm using another pencil brush and I am putting the shade Trisha right next to those outer V's, closer to the lid, just for another pop of color. And I will say that this shade does stain the eyes, so if you're someone who doesn't like that, then be careful with this shade because it will stain the eyes. And then once that color is in place, we're gonna use that small fluffy brush and just marry those two colors together. Marry your outer V with that pink. And then I don't know what happened here, to be honest. I don't know if my camera stopped recording or what happened, but I literally forgot to record me using my lid color. I am using the shade Diet Cola all over the lid on top of where we cut that crease. And it was a beautiful, beautiful color. I spritzed it a little bit with setting spray and it was like liquid metal on my lids. It was super beautiful. I don't know why I didn't get that on camera, to be honest. Sorry about that, but we're just moving forward. So then after that, we're gonna move on to the next shade, and I am using Food Videos because of course I wanted to use that shade, that bright yellow neon color on there. That is literally the shade of all of Shane Dawson's previous thumbnails. So we used a small eyeliner brush and literally did that. Use it as an eyeliner all over the top lash line. I went over it a lot to make sure that it really popped. And once that is done, we're gonna go in with a little bit of mascara, and then I'm using these lashes that I got from AliExpress. And then I'm also using that shade Food Videos on my inner corners for another pop of color. And then using a fluffy brush, I'm just wiping away all of that bake. And now we're gonna start with the lower lash line, starting with the shade Pigment and just really fluffing that color all over the lower lash line, really smoking it out. And then with a smaller, denser brush, I am using the brush that comes with the Anastasia palette, and I am using the shade Not Effect just closer to that lower lash line. And then I am using the shade Food Videos once again within a small eyeliner brush, and I'm using that on my waterline. And then I went in with mascara once again. And that was it for the eyes. I'm now adding some highlight to my cheeks. I am using the ABH X Amrezy highlighter. And then I'm also adding some blush. And after blush, that side of the face was all done. And now we're gonna move on to the other side of the face, which I'll speed through. And now for the lips. Of course I needed to use a Jeffree Star Cosmetics product. I am using the shade Celebrity Skin, which is one of my favorites. I really love this one. I am almost out of it. I am scraping the very last bits from the bottle. So that's what I'm wearing on my lips today. And for the gloss, I am using the Alamar Cosmetics Mother of Pearl Gloss in the shade Luna. And now, because I just wanted to do something a little bit extra, I added some lash glue to the very center of, almost like at the very bottom of my lower lash line, and then on top of the eyebrow. I added some lash glue and then I added some rhinestones just because, hey, why not, right? Just something a little extra special. And with rhinestones in place, hair down, that was it for my entire video. This was a look that I was able to come up with using the Shane Dawson x Jeffree Star Cosmetics eyeshadow palette. Again, I know this palette is already everywhere on the internet. I know everyone and their mother has shown it off, but alas, this is the look that I did creating it. I really hope you guys liked it. Let me know if you have any questions in that comment section down below. If you want to see a list of all of the products that I used, once again, in that description box, I will have them all listed there. If you have any questions as far as application, looks, if you'd like to see more looks using this palette, let me know. But I want to thank you guys for being here, for spending some of your time right here on my channel, and hopefully I will see you right here on my next video. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye!